anything. Okay, so for multiplying, you're going to do, first step is to do the ones, and then we do this, and then we do this. So we're going to do 6 times 5 first. So the ones and the ones is 30. You put the 3 up here, you put the 0 here. Next you do 5 times 2. So the ones in this digit, in this row, to the tens in this row is 10. And then whatever's up here, you add it. So that's 13. So you put the 1 up here and the 3 here. You only have room for one digit on these lines right here. And then 5 times 3 is 15 plus 1. Since we have nothing else to multiply, we have enough room for 2 digits, but it's only on the last one that we can do that. Then we put a placeholder right here, so we always put a 0 as our next step, and then you cross this out because you don't want to get confused. Then you do the tens digit here to the ones digit. So now our tens and ones is 6 times 4 is 24. You put the 2 here and you put the 4 here. You do 4 times 2, so now you do the tens and the tens, is 8 plus 2 is 10. You put the 1 here and the 0 here. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13. And since it's the last digit, you have enough digits to put the whole thing. Then you add those together. 0, 7, 6, 4, 1. Takes some practice, so watch that over and over till you get it. And then for rounding, you're going to do, if you're rounding to the tens, you're going to underline the tens digit. So the first step is to underline the digit that you're rounding to. Then you go to the neighbor and you say, 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, let it soar. So is this 5 or more? Yes. So the underlined digit soars. So you rewrite the whole problem, and then this soars to a 2, and then everything after it becomes a 0. So I'll do it again. This one, we're going to round to the tens. First step, underline the tens digit, then go to the neighbor and say 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, so 1 rests, and you rewrite the whole thing. 1 rests as itself, so it doesn't go up, and any digit after it becomes a 0. Okay, so for multiplying fractions, first step is to multiply the numerators. So 3 times 1 is 3. Second step is to multiply the denominators. 4 times 4 is 16. And then you, step 3, simplify. But this one is as low as it can go, so you do not have to simplify this. But say it was 4/16 that you got as your answer. What number does 4 and 16 have in common? So you can list the factors. The factors are what divides into it. So what divides into 4? 1. Does 2 divide into it? Yes. Does 3 divide into it? No. Does 4 divide into it? Yes. How about 16? Does 1 divide into it? Yes. Does 2 divide into it? Yes. Does 3? No. Does 4? Yes. Since this is the highest number that they will ever have in common, because 4 is already as big as it's going to be, that's the highest number that 4 and 16 have in common. So you're going to divide the numerator by 4, and you're going to divide the denominator by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And that's as low as it can go. We didn't do this one on the test, but I'll just do it with you. Suppose you had to make this into an improper fraction. You're going to do denominator times whole number, this is the whole number, plus numerator over denominator. So we have 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11, over, what's my denominator? 4. And then to do the opposite, to change from a mixed improper fraction to a mixed number, you're going to say, how many times does 5 go into 11? Goes in 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10 with a remainder of 1. This becomes your whole number. Your remainder becomes your numerator, and your denominator stays the same. So it's 2 1/5. Then the last thing we're going to do is division of fractions. So we're going to do, you rewrite the first fraction. You change the division to a multiplication. You flip the second fraction. So the numerator becomes the denominator and the denominator becomes the numerator. And then you multiply your numerators together. Step 5, you multiply your denominators together. Step 6, simplify. So it has a lot of steps. So here's what it looks like. You rewrite the first fraction. You change the division to a multiplication, and you flip the second fraction. Then you multiply the numerators. 3 times 4 is 12. Then you multiply the denominators, and then you simplify. What number does 12 and 4 have in common that you can divide by? Both have 4. That's the highest number that they have in common. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. So the answer is 3/1, or just a plain old 3.